This show is part of the Head Stuff Podcast Network.
This episode of the G-Spot is sponsored by Playblue, Ireland's favourite adult store. Playblue.ie has a huge selection of adult toys as well as some deadly deals. There really is something for everyone, no matter what bits you have or what you're into. Check out playblue.ie today. For this episode of the G-Spot, I was joined by the fab Cian Griffin. So you might know him from social media and Instagram because he has the catchiest username. It's Gail Gorey, and that's Gail Gorey spelled with G-A-Y. So clever. Cian is an LGBTQ plus content creator, writer, podcaster and media personality who creates content in English and Irish. And I know myself, I have learned so much from his page, and I've learned words that exist in Irish that I didn't even know there would be an Irish translation. Definitely not stuff you learn in school. And yeah, he just covers loads of different stuff, from the serious to the fun. Absolutely worth the follow. He was a brilliant fit for the G-Spot. As always, we look at dilemmas, and one of the people writing in the dilemmas are having some struggles, some challenges, some questions about their sexuality. So as always, there are some support services linked in the episode description. So take care and enjoy your visit to the G-Spot. Will we just get started and talk about the amazing sex education you got when you were in school? Are you from Dublin?
I'm from Wicklow.
Wicklow, okay. So you went to primary and secondary school.
Wicklow.
Okay. And what was it like, the sex ed?
Do you know what? It was so bad that when we got into TY, our biology teacher at the time was like, how do you not know this? Like X, Y, Z. Like, we'll go back to sixth class.
Yeah.
We were given ours by a priest.
Lovely.
Very standard, great.
A good start always, isn't it?
And like... Similarly in that, so we had like the generics, like whatever, I can't even remember. It was very basic though. And then we had like a chance to ask questions anonymously, so write in questions.
Okay.
Now you can imagine the chaos asking a room full of lads to ask the priest about sex.
Yeah.
A lot of it was actually about lesbian sex.
Okay, very specific.
The priest, like, obviously because loads of 12-year-old horny little teenagers.
Of course.
And then a priest was like, yeah, I'm not talking about this. So I was like, okay, that's one of the other things. Like, the gay side of sex is one of the things I'm actually interested in hearing about. And he was like, no. So then we got to TY, and my biology teacher was like, what? Like, alarmed by our age and how little we knew. And she also got us to write 10 questions anonymously. And she answered a few, but then people started asking about her sex life, and
yeah, that can happen. Yeah,
that kind of fell apart. So not great, to be honest. And thank God for the internet.
Yeah, and did you? So in the absence then, and I always ask people, in the absence of like good, like comprehensive sex ed at school, you're obviously going to turn to other sources of information. So whether it be peers, friends, even books like TV, even like music lyrics, like it comes from everywhere, the way we learn about sex. So how did you actually learn about it then when you were younger?
I think it's just like Googling things.
Yeah.
And like when you actually do, what you just said is actually very true, but you don't really realise how ingrained sex is in absolutely everything until you actually are like, oh yeah. Until you're listening for it nearly. Yeah. Like all music is about sex basically.
Yeah. Oh, so
like
much of it.
Is sometimes the disguise, but like realistically it's sex.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just Googling, thank God for Google, like even just in terms of the sexual side of or sexuality side of sex education as well, that was really helpful because we just weren't taught about it in school, and the general attitude for the Irish people is like we don't talk about it, or it's definitely changed. People like you, but like for a long time it's very much like taboo.
And that wasn't that long ago either.
No.
I'm just thinking, I'm nearly 32. So I'm thinking when I was a teenager, like we did have the internet, but it wasn't anything like it was now, obviously. And I don't think I had a laptop. I can't remember what age I got a laptop, but I feel like I didn't have my own for a long time. So there was the computer in like the kitchen kind of area. And I actually didn't search for a lot of things, and it's not because I wasn't curious. I just didn't know how to phrase what I was actually looking for, if that makes sense. So like the stuff I needed to know about like consent or any of that, I didn't even have that word. I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah, the vocab wasn't there.
So like what do you even search? So it's more that you'd probably end up, well for me, actually the way I came across porn was so kind of innocent in a way. It was through Bebo, and one of the lads at school. Do you remember in Bebo you could have a flash box, like a video playing?
I'm only 21. I don't remember Bebo. No, I'm not.
Stop
I
it.
do remember Bebo, but very, very. I'm 28.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I kind of just.
Bebo was only really big for like 2 years, and then it's gone.
I just missed it.
Yeah. Well,
so I don't really understand. What was the flash box?
Okay, so basically it was just a video embedded on your profile.
Okay.
I think it was called a flashbox. I'm doubting myself now. I think it was a flashbox.
Can't be gaslighting you. No,
there was. So one of the lads in school had a video from YouTube embedded, and it was 2 girls kissing. It was just like 2 girls making out for the whole video, and I was like, oh, "What is this?" And it was just so exciting and like looking now, it's so mild compared to the stuff young people can look up. It's worlds away. But that was my kind of little segue, which was interesting that it was girls, and actually talking to a lot of my friends, which will kind of link into one of our dilemmas. And the first kind of pornographic material they saw or sought out was also girls with girls, which is really interesting, even though some of them would be very much like heterosexual.
Yeah, you've just unlocked a weird memory in
Really?
my head. I remember me and my cousins were swimming in like the local pool, and we were in the change room, and one of them showed me on like his Nokia, it was like a GIF of a woman.
Actually, yeah, I remember
Irish
some
jersey.
people would have them. Yeah.
And it was like, I mean, her tits were square. It was that pixelated.
Right.
And it was like a slow-mo of like her like lifting up her top like this. And I was like, that's weird. But on the topic of porn, school, like lads in school showed me, and it was also, I don't know if you'll guess what it is based on me just saying like disgusting girl and girl.
Oh yeah, I know it.
Not to like, but like for me that was like not. I was like, oh, I don't want to see girl and girl, period. But this is a lot.
Well, that's one thing you definitely don't want to see. Yeah.
But like, so, but actually, porn was a big educational tool for a lot of just normalization of sex and.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, and I know we're not going to porn a huge amount today, but it always pops up here and there, and it's such a juicy, complex topic because porn. There's so many strong views in it on both sides. There's a lot of grey area. I mean, obviously there's a lot of issues with the industry itself,
100%.
But that's not what we're talking about. But, often when I think of porn and young people viewing it, just from my own work, I'm like, okay, it's not great. A lot of the stuff they're seeing nowadays, it's really aggressive. And before they've even had sex, they're watching really aggressive stuff. And, there's stuff like that does concern me. But then there's another side of it where, as you said, it actually normalizes, even for women, seeing women masturbate, which is something for girls and women you don't think is normal and healthy and fine. Seeing gay people, or I don't know if they're gay or not, but men having sex with men, women having sex with women, it's all just there.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's a golden road to happiness, but there's definitely issues with porn. But I just do think on a very base level, just visibility and representation, and like normalization is achieved in a way with porn. Yeah,
I think that's a really good point. And I think when we are talking about porn, it does have to be balanced, because if we go in, which I don't agree with anyway, but if you go in all guns blazing to young people and like, don't watch it, it's this, it's that, it'll rot your brains, which just isn't really true. Yeah. Well, no, it definitely doesn't rot your brain, but obviously there can be some effects, but the research is still ongoing. But no, we need to be a bit more balanced, because that won't probably stop them watching it. No. They'll still watch it, they'll just feel really bad about it.
Yeah, well, we were told not to masturbate or have sex before marriage in our sex talk, and like
really?
Look at that, were to half the people in my, okay, actually I say this as if it's not a normal age to have kids, but like, yeah, half them are all parents now. I don't know. I don't judge, but I do, but not on camera.
That still happens me. Like, I'm like, on purpose? Oh my God, wow.
I presume, well, they're all married to the people that they...
Yeah.
But like, they would have had them like early, mid-20s, but I'm like, telling young people not to do something is... arguably the worst thing.
It's kind of a red flag sometimes, isn't it? It makes it more mysterious and kind of exciting. Something happened recently, actually, because I run an RSC program for schools, and now this hadn't happened in my 10 years of doing this work. I'm trying to think. I don't think it's ever happened. So it really surprised me. It was a Catholic school we went to. And like, I didn't really think much of it, because yes, of course, there's Catholic schools and non-denominational schools, but I kind of thought, like, was the school I went to Catholic? I think it was, but it wouldn't have been like overly Catholic, if that makes sense. Like, we didn't get much sex education. But anyway, this school though specifically, we basically had to deliver a whole different program to what we deliver, which was really uncomfortable, but look, better communication next time. Yeah. But what they said was that they're not to talk about consent. because it's assumed that if you're having sex, it's within a relationship and therefore you have consent. My mind actually just...
Oh, God.
And like this is this...
In this, like, recently?
This was recently, yeah. Which I was really actually surprised by. And I'm not often surprised by, you know, kind of stuff that's a bit behind. But that's really harmful.
Yeah, it is. Because obviously, first of all, not all sex is in relationships. But even
Of
those
course.
that are...
That doesn't mean you have consent
that's
because you're in a relationship.
Crazy to hear. Jesus.
Yeah. So look, we've come a long way, but it's just interesting that there's still kind of a real like resistance to just talking about stuff that they're going to find out about anyway. Most of them know about it anyway.
Yeah.
Because they're seeing stuff. They all have phones. Not all of them. Most of them have phones. And a lot of them have unrestricted access to their phones. So...
And even like on social media, like I don't know if you're on Twitter, but like Twitter has turned into softcore porn, sometimes hardcore porn. Just scrolling, there'll be pornography. So like even they've got access to it even when they're not looking for it.
Yeah. Apparently, young people now, it's not just about looking for it. They actually get exposed to it really young as well. I came off Twitter because of like trolling and stuff.
Fair.
I just couldn't.
Cesspit.
Yeah, and you know what? I didn't really use it that much anyway. So I was like, for the abuse I'm getting, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Are you still on it? Are you very active on it, or are you more Instagram
it's there.
or TikTok?
I'm Instagram and sometimes TikTok. Twitter I have, but I don't really.
Yeah, it just can be a really nasty place. But yeah, it's completely unmoderated now, isn't it? So you can put anything up there. Fabulous.
Thank God.
I know. What a world we live in. Okay, so will we get into a dilemma then? So this one is called Bisexual Blues. Dear Grace, I'm a 27-year-old woman and I've been with my boyfriend for 9 years now. I'm almost certain that I am bi, but I've kept it under wraps because of past reactions when I discussed it with friends. They were quite judgmental/doubting about it and asked me very invasive questions. I've also kept it to myself because of my fear that my boyfriend wouldn't be cool with it. About 4 years back, I finally spilled the beans. Spilled the beans to him, so told him. Now it's like my desires are becoming stronger. I can't ignore them anymore. I really want to explore this side of my sexuality more. It's become pretty much all I can think about. He's basically said that it's either stick with him and only him or break up and explore my sexuality alone. I'm so confused because I really do love my boyfriend. I've no idea what to do. Please help. Any advice would be appreciated. So that's a pretty big one. They've been together 9 years.
I've got a lot of feelings on this one.
Knee jerk, yeah. What's your gut reaction straight off hearing that?
I mean, as someone who's gay, if you're questioning your sexuality, most likely it is like what you're thinking. There's a lot to unpack here.
I know.
But I'm excited to go through it.
Do you want to see any of it?
Like, I think, okay, oh God, I think, if you're having those desires and if it's becoming all you're thinking about, it's obviously something you do need to explore, in my opinion. I think bisexual people have it a lot tougher, in my opinion, because when you come out as gay or lesbian, it's more like, I know my experience is like, okay, I know I'm definitely not attracted to girls. I'm definitely attracted to guys. With bisexual people, you're attracted to both. So like, you're like, while you're being like, oh, well, I am what I'm being fed in terms of heteronormativity in society, but I'm also questioning something in the back of my mind. Like, I was just like, oh no, that's not for me. Yeah. Discard. But when it applies to you, but it's also not fully applying to you, when it's like 50% of how you feel, I do sympathise, because that must be so confusing. But I am going to say, what age is she? 27?
27, yeah. And they've been together, so I'm thinking 9 years. So
like, that's very
maths,
young to be
18.
with someone for 10 years in terms of they would have been together at an age where you still, like, I didn't know who I was at 18. I feel like it was only in my mid to late 20s that I was like, okay, I'm confident in who I am.
Oh God, yeah.
So it's hard to spend your transformative years as a duo. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but... Yeah,
that's a good point. And it's come up in other dilemmas as well. Just not that the length of the relationship is the problem. It's more the time of your life being in that relationship. I mean, it can work out wonderfully for some people and it can be just be a happy relationship and it's fabulous. But yeah, it's kind of key developmental years with figuring stuff out. I mean, you can figure stuff out long into your life.
100%.
But, as you said, it sounds, whereas it's become pretty much all I can think about. Like, that sentence out of all that really stood out to me as, I suppose And I think women, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think women have a little bit more, are granted a little bit more freedom in sexual fluidity than men.
Yeah.
Generally speaking now, it doesn't apply to every case. Like there's a lot of women I know, myself included, who are heteroflexible. Like
Yeah.
mostly heterosexual, would generally date and probably sleep with men. But there's definitely not 100% straight. There's definitely sexual experiences or attraction or romantic attraction, whatever, to girls and women. But if it's all you can think about while you're in this relationship, it kind of speaks to, no, this might be, you know, more than just, you know, being heteroflexible or just like, you know what I mean? Just kind of.
And I think like similar, like just what I just said, the heteronormativity that's pushed down on us is easy to, like it's easy to appease that and just go with the flow. But when it is becoming this level of, I can't think of anything else, I think it is evident that there's unexplored feelings that need to be addressed. And I think it's kind of, anytime I hear these like agony aunt pieces, I always wish the person was here with me so I could ask follow-up questions.
I know, I'm the same. I'm like, I need to know more.
What exactly did he say? Because is he completely shut off?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's either stick with him and only him, or break up and explore my sexuality alone. I suppose it depends what exploring your sexuality looks like.
Yeah. Very true.
So one person might explore their sexuality by, as we said, looking at certain types of porn or erotica, and they find just even engaging in that part of themselves is really exciting and enriching and fulfilling. For other people, it might be, oh, I want to go out and maybe just have a little flirt, or, you know, maybe even go on dates.
Yeah.
For other people, it might be, no, I kind of really want to sexually explore being with women, men. Like, I don't know, you know, what exactly.
Yeah, I took that as
how she wants to explore it, which is, fair enough.
I didn't, because I was like, oh, like, I know open relationships aren't necessarily as common among straight people, but I'm like, that would be a perfect example for them.
Yeah.
Like, and surely, are men, like, straight men not like obsessed with having threesomes with two women?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's such, going back to what I said, you know, the way we're granted this, you know, fluidity, that's really mainly because straight men find it a turn on, which is irritating, because it's like, we should just be allowed to be with whoever anyway.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I kind of get it, because just from what she's saying, I don't know, I think it's possibly more than sexual if it's all she can think about. Right. So again, we don't have all the context, but if she maybe wants to date other people, and like, he's probably just in a complete kind of panic response of, you know, this is unearthing everything I thought I knew about you.
Yeah. This
could end the relationship.
And I've seen a lot of like discourse in content around bisexuality of like, you know, not that I agree with it at all, but like in this case, I could see him potentially incorrectly thinking like, oh, well, if we open this up to women as well, then there's like twice the chance that she'll find someone better than me or move on. So maybe it is coming from a place of insecurity for him.
Yeah.
But I also, like, I don't agree with him, but I do sympathise in the sense that it is someone he's been with for 10 years nearly. Yeah. And yeah, it's okay, like, in my opinion, if I had a boyfriend, like, he's allowed to find other people attractive, but I would be annoyed, I think, if he was like, oh, like, I want to start sleeping with other people. Yeah. Now, I've definitely come around to open relationships, the idea of it more recently, and not that they don't have to be as black and white as the stereotype of an open relationship. Yeah. But yeah, I get technically where he is coming from, but also, like, if you're having these feelings now, imagine how much worse it will be if in 20 years you've got a marriage and a house and kids, and then you're like, I can't do this anymore. I need to be with a woman. Like, there is there's a lot less risk at potentially being selfish now and being like, I need to put myself first. Yeah. As opposed to waiting till there's a lot more complexities in the relationship. Yeah.
No, I think I'm with you on that. In exactly what you said of like, that you empathize with him or sympathize, whichever you said, you know, that like, it would be great in an ideal world if he said, oh, babe, well, I love you too. Sure, look, have a little explore. I'll still be here. And some people do that. And as you said, perfect example for that can actually lead to some kind of an open relationship. And open relationships, there's so many different types of open relationships. I think there's so many myths about that. It's just all swinging and sex parties and swapping partners all the time. I know people who are very like they're very boundaried, very organized, open relationships.
Me too, yeah.
And it doesn't have to be permanent either. You could open it for, I don't know, a year or two and then decide, actually, okay, we'll just be the two of us for a while.
Yeah.
That would be great if you could explore those options. It sounds like you probably have tried to and it's kind of been like, no. I think at least, I usually don't like this, at least he's being honest. But to be fair, at least he's being upfront as like, look, this isn't for me. You kind of have to make a decision. Again, I empathise with that. You know, especially they've been together so long.
Yeah.
So look, there's no straight answer. But yeah, I think if it's all you can think about, I think you really need to reflect on, you know, the kind of weighing up, just stay where you are, which sounds like these feelings probably aren't going to go away. Or take a risk and, possibly go out there and explore it. And you and your boyfriends might find each other again in the future, possibly.
Also,
who knows,
she might be bisexual. It might be like a risk that leads her to realize she might have been emotionally in love with the man, but like she could be a lesbian. Loads of the lesbians I know were I had a boyfriend for long term. Yeah, sex was good, but then I had sex with a woman. I was like, whoa, this is what it's meant to feel like. Yeah, and it changed everything. Absolutely. So like that could be the case here. Do you know Chappell Roan?
I know that name.
She's a singer. She has a song called Good Luck Babe that's like very charging at the moment. And it's about her addressing a past female lover who's bisexual. Okay. And she's basically like, I know it's easier for you to embrace heteronormativity in society, but this could be you. This could be a risk that leads you to be 20 years down the line, married to a man and being like, you're just a wife. Whereas what we have is really special, but it's easier to be with a man in society. Yeah. Not really relevant, but it's just popped into my head and it's a great song, so listen to it. Also, I think he has a point, but it also might be great for him because I think if she's constantly kind of voicing these opinions, it might make him feel inadequate when it's not really his fault. No, absolutely not. And something that came up for me as well, just in the first paragraph, was that she kept it under wraps because of past judgments. When she discussed it with friends, they were quite judgmental / doubting and asked me very invasive questions. I think that's quite a common experience for any kind of questioning people, bisexual people, maybe gay people as well. I know it's something I've experienced where not all my friends, some friends, again, you've different groups, right? There's some friends I'd be like, oh, I don't like to label myself, but I'm like, I'm in a heterosexual relationship, fine. I do really like men mainly, but there's definitely fluidity there. It's definitely not, again, on the Kinsey scale, I'm not 100% hetero. Yeah. That's why I say hetero-flexible. I just think it's a fun way of saying it. Yeah, I've never heard that before. I'm going to use that. I like it. Not for myself. No, you're not hetero-flexible. No, but whenever I've kind of opened up a little bit about it, like some friends are like, oh yeah, we kind of guessed that. Like we can see that grand. There's been a few friends like, really? And it's like, and have you slept with a girl? And what did you do with her? And it kind of got into that. And I was like, oh, and I'm really an open book. Yeah. And there's been times where I'm like, oh, I'm getting a bit uncomfortable now actually, because it's becoming this kind of dissection of what sexual acts I have and haven't done. And that's and it's from a place of, I think it's from a place of genuine, unfiltered curiosity, but it is uncomfortable and it's not like, maybe it's something we probably shouldn't be as comfortable, asking people. Yeah, I agree. But on that intro, like that, like not, I'm like, it sounds like I'm trying to like force this woman to be a lesbian, but like that was kind of like reductive in terms of her trying to be open about her sexuality and being forced back into the closet. Like I can understand why she is reluctant to kind of embrace that now. But if she told her boyfriend 4 years ago, was it? I'd hope that the example she's talking about are from a long time ago when before, I don't know, LGBTQ plus people kind of were more mainstream. You'd hope so. Yeah. I think there is still, though, a bit of a struggle, particularly with bisexuality. Yeah, 100%. It's just the binary of our thinking, isn't it? We just love as humans, I'm not saying you and me, but like humans, we just love are you this or are you this? Yeah. And it's that kind of
I hate the word grey area because that sounds really boring and everything's grey and dull, but like that spectrum, that colourful area in the middle.
I think
I still think people struggle with a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is annoying, but we'll get there, I think.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So be gay. Dump him. Is that what we said? No, I think we've answered that as best we can. And it could be worth also just to mention talking it through with other people who've been in a similar situation, or other people who are bi, or even reach out to, I don't know, LGBT Ireland, or I know a MAC in Galway because I lived in Galway for years and worked with them. Just services that belong to for younger people. Yeah.
Here's a bit of a controversial statement that you can use for social media.
Yeah.
Like, if you're potentially bi, like obviously I'm gay, I unfortunately like men. If you have the option for men and women, choose women.
Choose women.
Choose women. What if I could, but I can't? I guarantee you, like, emotional intelligence through the roof. Choose women.
I always see this online. It's like, if you want proof that sexuality is not a choice, it's 2024 and I am still attracted to men. It is not a choice. It is just built into me, okay? We'll definitely use that for a clip. And we'll get loads of horrible comments, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Controversy is good for clickbait.
Exactly. All publicity is good publicity.
We've been encouraged to buy men more flowers. But what about more toys? Sex toys are not just for women. They really are for everyone, regardless of what you have between your legs. Because at the end of the day, pleasure and fun is for everyone. So if you have a penis, or maybe your partner has one, and if you're not sure where to even start, I have picked out something for you. The Masturbator Egg Riffle from Satisfyer is quite literally the perfect fit. At first, it's shaped just like an egg you can hold in the palm of your hand, but in fact, it's made of this flexible, stretchy, textured material. Riffle is the name of the texture on this particular egg, and it is designed to stimulate the whole penis, from the tip to the shaft. You just add a little water or lube, and then away you go. It's a bestseller on PlayBlue for a reason. Don't forget to use your discount code GRACE10 for 10% off on your egg and across playblue.ie. Enjoy!
This show is part of Headstuff Podcasts. Here's another show you might like.
All right, how you getting on? It's me, Tony Cantwell from The Young Hot Guys, here to tell you about my solo podcast, Tony Cantwell's Hit Show, also available on Headstuff. What do? We talk about all sorts. I give you life pro tips. I had a recent podcast on the 40 worst chat-up lines you should never use. I had a podcast on having big feelings and how you overcome them to make decisions. I also like to talk about fun stuff I like geek culture, movies. I like to talk about the best Eurovision songs ever. Whoever are the hottest Disney animals. Believe it or not, it was not the Robin Hood fox, even though he's absolutely stunning, mate. I also have been failing constantly. I got into comedy quite late. I was sacked from 7 different jobs, and even to this day, I'm still failing. I'm married, I have 2 kids, and if you want to walk away from a podcast thinking, wow, at least I'm not as big a loser as him, I highly recommend listening to Tony Cantwell's Hit Show, available on Headstuff.
The next dilemma is inexperienced insecurities. So, hey, I'm a 32-year-old woman who's feeling a bit lost in the dating world. I've never had sex. Despite being in my 30s, I'm still a virgin, and honestly, I'm starting to worry that it's going to be a deal breaker for potential partners. I've always been a late bloomer when it comes to relationships, and for a long time, I focused on my career and personal growth. But now that I'm ready to dip my toes into the dating pool, I can't shake this fear that my lack of experience will be a turn off. I worry that if I tell someone I'm dating that I'm a virgin, they'll judge me or see me as inexperienced. I don't want to be seen as a prude or someone who's not capable of intimacy. I just haven't found the right person or the right moment yet. I know everyone has their own journey when it comes to sex and relationships, but it's hard not to feel self-conscious. How do I navigate the dating scene with confidence despite my lack of sexual experience? Should I even tell anyone and just fake it till I make it a little bit? Has this person a woman. Sorry, yeah, I'd forgotten. Just because it can be different. I think just these things can be very gendered. So initial thoughts, 32, still a virgin, insecure about it, going dating.
I mean, I think virginity is like the Leaving Cert. It's like this thing you build up to be this huge thing, dramatise, hyperbolise, catastrophise, and then it's over and you're like, oh, that was grand. Like,
that was it.
Moving on.
Yeah. First time, it's always Do you know the first pancake rule? The first time is probably
Yeah. Oh my God.
and then
Yeah.
the more you practice or whatever you want to say, even though, do you know what? Some people actually do have really good first experiences, and I know it's not that common.
Yeah, no, they do.
But I think maybe it goes back to the sex education piece, is if we kind of, and I don't mean wait out of a morality point of view. That's not why I'm saying it. I'm just wait till you maybe are a bit more comfortable in your body, or maybe just know a bit more about sex in general.
Yeah.
Maybe when you're with someone, doesn't have to be in a relationship, but even dating or casually with someone who you actually do feel safe with.
Yeah.
Do you know that you
think
feel
so,
comfortable with?
Which, is can't be overstated or understated, whatever the phrase is. Can't be understated. Overstated? We can't say it enough.
Can't be overstated. Yeah, we can't. We can't say it enough. It's really important.
I like in terms of late blooming, like this, your sister, like the gays, I think, experience their teenage years almost in their 20s.
Yeah.
I didn't lose my virginity until my 20s. Loads of people I know, especially straight men that I'm friends with now, have been telling me stories that I am horrified by, of like losing their virginity and like before. Yeah, I don't even want to say it.
Yeah,
but like very young.
early. Yeah,
and I'm like, God, that is mad to me, because one, wasn't comfortable with my body. 2, wasn't comfortable with my sexuality. 3, didn't know another gay person to have sex with. I don't think there is. I mean, if it hasn't felt right, then you're right to wait.
Yeah.
I don't think there is such thing as too late. Worst case scenario, you force yourself to have sex and then you're traumatized by it.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I just haven't found the right person or the right moment yet. So that kind of, I suppose, not that she has to explain, but that explains maybe why she's that bit later deciding to have sex. Now, obviously, some people don't have sex at all and everyone's different. But, you know, I think that speaks to really valuing herself in the sense of, you know, wanting to be with someone who, again, maybe she trusts, feels comfortable with, or it just feels right. Yeah. And to be honest, if I look back at my experiences, hindsight is a great thing. But if I really look back, did all of them feel right? Definitely not. There's times where I've had sex where I just kind of felt that I should or I had to, either because someone was pressuring me or because I just felt pressured in general by society and didn't feel able to say no. So I think like fair play to actually be holding out until you feel like, okay, this feels good. You know?
Struggling to have sex and struggling with intimacy, in my opinion, are two different things. But maybe that's because the gays have a very transactional attitude towards sex sometimes. So that's probably bled over into my own opinions. But I think if like there's more to sex than just penetration, most of my sexual partners I actually haven't had penetrative sex with.
Yeah.
So like I wonder if it's building up the actual act of penetrative sex, or is it the intimacy of it, or
yeah, that's a really good point. Because she's using the word virgin, I'm assuming she's referring to penetrative sex because that's the way culturally we say it. Like she might have had sexual experiences in the sense of oral sex, touching, any other kind of sex. We actually don't know that. So she might even be more experienced than she thinks she is, number one. Even the word virgin, it's so... not to shame this person, like it's embedded in our language, but it's so dated. Like it's it really is. There's a lot of religious and purity kind of culture behind it, and it's, you know, losing your virginity. Like, what are you losing? It's like you're losing
poetic. You
know what I mean? Something really like intrinsic to yourself. And I understand if it feels that way, I do, but really it should be a good thing. It should be a positive. It should be like, oh, like I'm adding to my life. I'm not like losing part of myself.
100%. And I think the thing at the end said, should I be like even disclosing that information? I think, I don't really think, it depends on what you feel. If you feel comfortable talking to someone, but like, I don't think, I wouldn't care if someone my age was like, oh, like if I was seeing somebody like, oh, I'm a virgin, I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. At least that means I'm going to be special in your head.
Yeah, well, that's the thing as well, is some people will actually really like, now some people might like it in a creepy way.
Yeah,
if I'm thinking if she is, I don't know, has she said if she attracted to men or women? I can't see. Yeah, she hasn't really said. But I just know sometimes men can be a bit like, oh, I'm the first, and it's you're kind of conquering and blah, blah, blah. Some men, hashtag not all men. But, you know, some people could genuinely, again, see that as, oh, I feel really special. Like, I'm really honoured that, like, you want to share that experience with me.
And after all, your time waiting, I'm the one you've finally chosen.
Exactly.
I'd be delighted.
Yeah, because you can't win. It's like women are really shamed for having a lot of sexual partners and kind of can be hard on ourselves. And then like this, if we have none, you're also feeling ashamed. So it's like you can't win. Like what's the perfect number?
Yeah.
I do feel like gay men particularly are more open about like, just being more sexually active and having different partners. And from my experience anyway, I'm not a gay man clearly, but from...
No, but I think there obviously are issues with the transactionality of it at times. But I think overall, gay people are so much more open about talking about sex and setting boundaries before sex and being like, this is what I'm into, this is what I'm not into. I think gay people have a very forward attitude towards sex that I think would benefit a lot of straight people.
I agree.
But there's a weird shame around that for other reasons.
Yeah.
But I think... I mean, I'd let fingers crossed this girl's a lesbian. She'll have better luck. But I think, I really don't think it's that big of a deal. And if the person that you're telling has an issue with it, then like you've just saved yourself potentially years of being with an arsehole.
Yeah, exactly. And that's their issue.
Yeah, that's their issue.
Because, and I've said this before, like being a good sexual partner, it's not about having loads of experience. And like, I'm not going to lie and be disingenuous. There are things that you get better at through practice.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean like literally like blowjobs or whatever it is.
That's what I was thinking for some reason, even though I'm like...
The more you practice. But I mean even communication.
Yeah.
I'm still working on my communication during sex. I think that's going to be probably a lifelong thing for me. It's just something I'm going to constantly have to work on. I still have to work on like my being fully present in my body, like not getting distracted or not getting like thinking about how I look. So... that's all part of being a good sexual partner. That's stuff that, yes, you can work on within a sexual relationship, but also you could have someone who's had sex with 100 people and they're just like, they think of themselves as really skilled and really like, they've had loads of conquests. They might be a really shit sexual partner.
And it depends on, like, you can be great for one person and shy for the next.
Exactly.
It depends on what the person likes.
Yeah.
So... I don't think it's as big a deal as it may seem.
I can see how it feels like a big deal though.
Yeah, but like we've all been virgins and we've all probably been like, 100%. Oh my God.
Everyone can tell when I'm walking down the street, they can see I'm a virgin. I used to, did you use the word frigid at school for someone who hadn't kissed someone?
Yeah.
Horrible word.
Horrible.
Again, a horrible word from a horrible, like something that's frigid is like cold and stiff. And
that made me shift a girl that I didn't want to shift because I was like, here, I just don't want to be dealing with this anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to be, yeah. But I went through it's like the anguish of being 12 or 13. I used to be like, can people tell I'm a frigid by looking at me? Just so ridiculous. I was an intelligent young woman, not young, a girl. But even, it gets in your head, like just the kind of norms and pressure. I know Rebel Wilson shared in her memoir that she didn't have sex. Again, I don't know, is this penetrative sex or what? Till she was 35, and that was stimulating a lot of like discussion online about like, is it a good thing, is it a bad thing? Like, it doesn't have to be either, does it?
No,
it just happens differently for people.
And like, okay, I mean, if we're measuring how many people you have sex with or whatever, like you can have sex with, like I didn't have sex till my early mid-20s, kind of, as in kind of that age gap, not kind of sex.
Kind of.
But like I could then go out and have sex with 2 people every day for the next week and, I don't know, pass out the people that had sex 10 years earlier. That's not the point. Like it's not a race, it's not a marathon, it's not a competition, whatever. Just do it when it feels right. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. But yeah, I think there's an unholy level of pressure and stigma tied to virginity and sex in general that isn't benefit. Like this woman is kind of fearful of dating, which is completely different to sex.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can you don't need to be having penetrative sex to have a positive relationship. And
absolutely.
I think if it's
I mean, if she's so conscious that like she's nearly paralyzed with the fear, like she literally cannot go on a date, that's something definitely to talk to, I think, a professional therapist about, just to kind of build up your self-esteem, because she's internalizing being a virgin. Again, it's such a label, isn't it? She's internalizing what she sees, a lack of experience, okay, fair enough, as like a flaw. And I always find as well, we were talking about this on another episode with regards to having vaginismus. or any kind of sexual issue. If you go into the bedroom, let's say, and you're telling someone about this in a really apologetic way, and a way that the shame is radiating off you, that can sometimes almost make it even a bigger thing than it is, if that makes sense. Like if you're coming to a partner and saying, oh, you'll think I'm so weird now, you'll think I'm a freak, but I've never had sex. Like,
it sets the wrong trajectory for that conversation.
Yeah. Like go in and say, you know, if you want to share it, if you want to say it, don't go in with an air of shame about it. Like genuinely, I know we always say this, but own it. You know, it is nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah. I had a sexual partner before who at the start of the experience was like, oh, by the way, I'm not that experienced. And now this is, because he was new to being out, and he's like, oh, I'm not that experienced with guys. And I was like, yeah. Like, and the way he said it so casually, I was like, oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't have to be a big deal. And I think the way what you just said, the way you frame it and the way you say it, it isn't a shameful thing. So don't cloud it in shame, because that kind of sets the other person up to feel like you think it's shameful, and that it's basically changing the conversation into something that it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It can just be a point of information and moving on.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just a factual thing. It's not a reflection on your like worthiness or attractiveness or any of that stuff. So yeah, we kind of answered it in the sense of, you know, it's up to her if she wants to actually disclose it or not. So what did she ask? How do I navigate the dating scene with confidence? So again, yeah, it's just like, don't over focus on it. If you're really, really struggling with the shame, it is good to work through a professional with that. But like every person is inexperienced when they have a new partner. So even if you meet a lovely person out dating, and if they've had 10 sexual partners before, you're still a brand new person with a brand new body and boundaries and turn-ons and turn-offs. So you're both inexperienced with each other. So it's just communication is the main skill, really. And then should I even tell anyone? It's really, I don't know, fake it till I make it. I feel like the right answer, I'm doing it in quotation marks, is always be honest and be upfront. And a lot of the time that is a good option. But some people don't deserve to know everything about us straight away. That's another thing as well. So if you are out dating, I would give it, you know, a few dates until you really get a feel for the person, their values, you know, are they, again, do you feel safe with them as much as you can after a few dates? Do they talk judgmentally about other people? About how do they talk about other women? You know, all these things you can pick up. And then if you have good vibes, good feelings, then maybe bringing it up and telling them. Would you say, would that be?
Yeah, and even like just on the topic of like, not lying, but like not disclosing the entire truth. Like just, it doesn't have to be like, I think a way around it is to say like, oh, I'm not super experienced here. That's not lying, but it's not being like, oh, I'm a virgin. Yeah, exactly. This is a big thing. Yeah. And it's kind of maybe I don't know, performance anxiety for the man that then might come into play, being like, oh my God, this is such a big deal for her. I need to perform here.
That's true, actually.
I think just being like, oh yeah, I'm not super experienced here, so can we take it easy? Or like, and I'd like to think most men, I don't know. Sorry, girl, but I hope that he's patient and like loving. Yeah. God, isn't it terrible that has to be like the bar, fingers crossed.
A bit in hell. But hopefully at this, what age is she? 32. Yeah, and just to give my sexual experiences when I was in my 20s. And again, it's not being like, oh, it was all the men's fault. There was a lot of people at fault because there was no education for girls or boys. So a lot of us were very clueless. But in your 30s, and especially if you're dating people that are older as well, hopefully, you know, they do maybe have stronger empathy skills, even that they've developed, putting it nicely. That, you know,
their emotional intelligent muscles are a bit more flexed.
Exactly. Like all of ours. So, yeah. So it kind of depends on who she meets and if she feels comfortable. And there's a lot of factors at play there, I think. But I do think it's interesting that we're still using the word virgin and it has to be tied to penetrative sex. Because like I get asked, not that I actually don't go to schools myself anymore, but I run the program and educator still gets asked, you know, am I still a virgin if I use tampons? So like that's still a thing. So it's like nothing, just so everyone gets it out there, because I've had people before who have never had sex, women, and they've never had penetrative sex. And I remember a woman telling me once that she was like, I know that, like, I understand that, like, you know, the little bone breaks when you first have sex. And I was like, what bone break? Who told you a bone breaks? So there's still like an enormous amount of misinformation. So no bone breaks, nothing breaks. There's not even a huge anatomical change, because like well, for women or anyone assigned female at birth, like the hymen is different for everyone, and there's no medical test that can actually show if someone's a virgin or not. It doesn't exist. They look at the hymen. Your hymen could be absolutely fully the way it always was, and you've had sex, or you could have stretched your hymen ages ago, like horse riding or anything. It's so funny how this tiny piece of the body has become this huge like focus of again, morality and value.
Yeah,
it's fucked up that it's still around. Like, you know.
I don't really have much to say here. I'm not very versed with vaginas. But yeah, no, I think, I go get that dick or vagina, girl. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, sex can be great, so go enjoy yourself.
No, yeah, it's one of the best parts of life. So I think she'll have fun. I think she'll be fine. Okay, so to finish off, I've been following you on Instagram for ages now. So do you want to tell people like where they can find you and a little bit about that before we finish up?
Yeah, I'm on everything, but mainly Instagram at Gail Gorey, Gay, very funny,
which I love.
There.
Yes.
And it's just like gay lifestyle, fashion, activist content, bit of comedy, bit of Gaelga, all of the above. Just too glam to give a damn vibes. Jack Swift's like mentor, not really. I wish, but yeah, nothing too serious, but also the medium is the message. Like, I think the platform itself is quite important.
Yeah.
Even though I'm very lighthearted most of the time.
Yeah. It's still a good space though, isn't it, to discuss stuff that does matter to you. Yeah. Like I think you and a lot of creators I follow like have a good balance, you know, of that. You've the fun stuff and the fashion, all of that. But then if there's something that, you know, really matters to you, you want to speak up, you can do that as well. So it's all there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Glowing review.
Yes,
go follow me.
Absolutely. 5-star review. Okay, thanks so much, Cian.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Not at all. A huge thank you to Playblue, Ireland's favourite adult store, for sponsoring this episode of The G-Spot. You can browse through their impressive selection of toys, lingerie and lots more sexy essentials at playblue.ie.
This show is part of the Head Stuff Podcast Network, a hub for the creative and the curious. Shows are produced in association with Head Stuff and the Podcast Studios Dublin. Find out more or become a member at headstuffpodcasts.com.